My brother was arrested on Friday, dead by Tuesday morning. The bars our ancestors set for us as Africans, it's dropping every day. At least I am glad we still have some hope. We still have some hope in you, Dr. Todd. We still have some hope in you, Mr. Slow. We still have some hope in you, Mr. Hines.
When certain things happen in certain communities, you are seeing the heavy-handedness, because the objective here is to keep the people who can answer to their masters. I have had many clients who have complained and said, listen, it's not about the officer or the offense.
People believe, and this is I can speak for a lot of people, believe that if you get money, who get money get bargain. The force is not independent. The force has been politicized over the years, especially since 2020. Assistant Commissioner of Police, 252 criminal charges. That the government has no interest in a professional police force. Because if you have a real professional police force, then they would not be able to pick up the telephone and call and give instructions. So
Black lives are on the siege.
Well, oh, I pray for this world to be a better place. Living in love, one people, one race. Stop all your killing, all your bloodshedding. Accept love, my brothers and sisters, cause in this world of hate, there is poverty, shame, and disgrace. There'll be no more existence of the human race if we don't cool down our haste. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And so I wanted to have the mother perspective tonight. And that's why I invited Sister Robin, because she's not just a mother, but she's an activist mother. And she's an activist, a village activist first and foremost. She will tell you that. She's in national politics, national figure, and things. So I expected Simona Brooms, but I didn't manage to get hold of her. But I think we have quite an adequate team here tonight. And so we are going to talk about that development. You know, I gave you a mouthful. I give you all a mouthful on Tuesday night. And as you would have seen circulating on my pages, and so Black lives are on the siege. I hear all kind of story and so on about what could have happened. But we are going to get our people who know more about this kind of story than we mere mortals. So, as I said, Paul Slow is here, and Sister Robin is already here, pad up, and they're going to open the baton. And Attorney Dexter Todd will join us a little bit later. So let's start the ball rolling and get our guest in. Good evening, Sister Robin. Good evening, Brother Paul Slow. It's been a long time since I've had the two of you on Politics 101. So welcome back.
good evening, Dr. Hines. Good evening, viewers.
Sister Robin, are you hearing us?
Yes. Good evening, Dr. Hines. Good evening, viewers. Good evening, Mr. Slow.
Good evening, Robin.
Robin, let me start with you, because if we're talking about the ground, you were on the ground. You were there, the first activist to be there on the ground. And I rather suspect this young man, Jordan Payne, is known to you. So let's get the home perspective. Tell us what happened, because that is important, that we get the facts. And then once we get the facts, we can get the interpretation of the facts. So, Sister Robin, if you can start by telling us the facts from the standpoint of the villager.
Before I even get into that, thank you, Dr. Hines. I just want the listening viewers who are here tonight and all around the world to understand one thing before I even say it, is that our future has no room for mistakes. None whatsoever. Now, I would have received a call on Tuesday morning that we have problem in our village. Those were the exact words. And I was like, what problem we have in the village? What is it? You need to come to the hospital. And I got to the hospital. I did not know what I was going to. Somebody died. I was not really familiar with the case, not until I got there. And I realized it's my sister, Amanda Payne, Kato, her son. And when I say my sister, she's not my biological sister. But because we all grew up in this same community, a very small village, we all a stone throw away from each other. The village by the name of Haslington, first it was called Little Garden with bitter weeds, and then they started calling it Little Columbia. We're all known to each other. When I did get to find out what was going on, Jaja Otis was arrested on Friday for DV, domestic violence. Report was made. They came to the street, to the home where he's living, and they arrested him. He went with them voluntarily. There was no resisting arrest. And he was taken to the station. But on his way, there was a little talking up because he reached out to the brother right there and then, and he said, they hit me, they gun butt me, they knocked me. That was in the vehicle. So there was a little talking. So Friday night he was there. The parents visited Saturday. The mother took meals for him Saturday. Nobody said to the mother that he was actually sick. On Sunday, they took meals for him again. Nobody said anything to him. Monday, the brother turned up there to pay for him to be released, bail. And he was told he's not on bail. Tuesday morning, the mother received a call that he is at the hospital, but she know he is at the station. So she did not actually believe. So she went to the station about 9 something. And then it's when this mother, my sister, your daughter, is gonna find out that he is at the morgue he's at the morgue in Enmore Hospital, Enmore Regional Hospital. Why is he there? Me and no. So she left and went to the hospital. The doctors told her right there and then that came in. He was brought in about 2:12, whatever time, very cold, stiff. So they just placed him in the freezer there until the police come. And that's where we are. That's how it all started.
Sister Robin Simon there, giving us that bird's eye account. Let's go to Paul Slow. Dexter Todd is trying to get in a little bit of glitch, but he's going to be here shortly, and it's important that we have Dexter here tonight. And as important as Robin and Paul. Brother Paul, you heard Robin, and you would have heard accounts. But when you first heard of this case, tell us as a police, and I want to stress that because you're not anti-police. You make that very clear, always that you're a police. When you first heard of this case, what were your immediate questions?
Well, thank you, Dr. Hines. I was Tuesday morning. I was scrolling through social media, Facebook to be specific, when I saw this broadcast from Robin. So it piqued my interest, and I decided to listen. I learned then that this gentleman was arrested on Friday for domestic violence, taken to custody, not granted bail. And then they said that He died. He was taken to the hospital sometime Monday or sometime then, taken back to the police station, kept in custody, and then died sometime Monday night or Tuesday. Now, the first thing that came to, I started to question, why was he arrested and kept in custody? They said he's alleged to have committed domestic violence, and therefore a report was made, which is all well and good. But I asked the question immediately whether the person who made the report had given a statement to the police in relation to that allegation. And I also wanted to know, from a police perspective, whether the young lady was taken to get medical treatment. And I said this because, according to police procedures, the police would not have had the authority to arrest this gentleman based solely on a report that was made in this particular case. They ought to have taken a statement from her. They ought to have ensured that she received medical attention so they get a medical certificate. And again, the statement would have been critical, because without the statement, you would not, in this particular case, you would not have had the authority to arrest. So red flags started to go up. Then when I learned of they said that the gentleman died in police custody, I started to do the calculations. I'm not sure what time on Friday he was arrested, but I guess we all know that the police have no authority to keep someone in custody for more than 72 hours. If it becomes necessary for a person to be kept in custody for more than 72 hours, they have to go to the court. They have to go to the High Court. The High Court has to give such an order. So I wanted to know why this man was there till Tuesday night, till Monday night. Bearing in mind, I said I did not know what exact time he was arrested. So therefore, I am not sure if the 72 hours would have elapsed. But that is a question that came to my mind almost immediately. Why was he there? And then let me say this before I go any further. Again, I wanted to be fair to the people. I said, well, you know, people were complaining, why was he kept in custody? First of all, as I've said, I'm not sure that they had the authority to arrest him, because without a statement from the complainant, in this particular case, there are cases, given the circumstances, you can arrest without a statement. Because if the case that the offense is continuing, let's say somebody beaten up, look, somebody can report, somebody's being beaten, somebody is being raped, some house is being set on fire. You can't wait to take a statement from the complainant before you act. You act. But in this particular case, where this young lady is reported that she was assaulted, you ought to have taken a statement from her, and depending on, again, you might have wanted to take her to the hospital to get a medical certificate. So I was questioning why he was there. And let me say this. Given the nature of the allegation that she was assaulted by this person, the police might have had justification for keeping him in custody initially. Because you don't want to have a report made of an assault, and then immediately you release the person, and then they go and continue, and then they can go to continue the assault. So initially, as I've said, they might have had justification for keeping him in custody, but you can't keep him in custody for more than 72 hours. And then the fact that he was arrested on a Friday, all right, you keep him over the weekend. He should have been placed before the court first thing Monday morning. I understand that court is not kept at Cove and John on Mondays, but take him to vigilance at some place. Why keep him in custody in violation of the law? So those are some of the questions that came to mind immediately.
Paul Snow here tonight, giving his initial take on the Jordan Payne case. Since then, since Tuesday, there have been some developments. My understanding is the postmortem should have taken place on Wednesday, but the pathologists decided not to go ahead with the postmortem because he did not have enough information from the doctor who apparently was on duty when Mr. Payne was taken to the hospital. And then we had 2 officers being placed in close arrest, and then the postmortem today. Sister Robin, walk us from Tuesday to today. Is my account there accurate?
She's muted. She's muted.
You're muted. You want to unmute yourself.
Your account is accurate. They would have transferred the body to the mortuary there for the postmortem. The doctor did refuse it because they had no documentation, nothing came from the police, nothing came from the hospital. It was just the body there for them to do the postmortem, and the doctor refused. So we were told that he will do the postmortem on Friday, which is this morning, and still no documentation was produced because no doctor, from what we were told when we went to Enmore Hospital, we were told, myself, the sister, and 2 brothers were told by one of the doctors there, they have no patient chart. His name is not in the system, seeing any doctor, so he did not get medical attention. So they could not have taken anything or sent anything down to the doctor this morning or anytime during. They could not have, because he did not see a doctor.
So even though the doctor requested more information up to today, and I think I heard that on the live when the lawyer and the medical doctor, remind me of her name again, I don't know, Dr. Cummins were there, and they confirmed that the doctor did not get all the information that he requested on Wednesday. Mr. Let me bring you in here, because you're hearing all kinds of theories. You're hearing that the young man may have been sick and he died of natural causes. You're hearing that he might have been beaten. You're hearing all kinds of theories. But as a policeman, as a police, and someone who spent time coming through the ranks in the police force, are you satisfied from what you are hearing that the police may have followed the proper procedures in dealing with this case?
Well, let me deal with the question about the postmortem, because I understand that he was taken there on Wednesday. He was taken for the postmortem, and they say the doctor requested documents, but I'm sure that the police would have turned up with the coroner's order, because you cannot go. I can't imagine the police would have gone to have a postmortem examination done without the coroner's order. They go with a document, fill out name, information, all these things would have been there. It's impossible for them to, well, I shouldn't say impossible. It's hardly likely that they would have turned up for a PM without that document. My understanding is what the pathologist wanted, Dr. Nielsen, he wanted the record of him being taken to the hospital Monday or whenever to see what was the complaint, maybe what treatment he was, and that was not, they weren't able to provide that. From following on what transpired today, even to today, they were not able to provide that document, and the doctor really wanted that to have an understanding of what transpired when he was taken there, which is only reasonable and logical, right? Now, the whole story is, and I'm sure Dr. Todd will tell you, because this was discussed at length in the Adriana Young's case, the doctor gave the cause of death, right? Rupture, stomach, and all that. That was the cause of death. they have to now determine the manner of death. What the manner, because the cause is this medical thing, right? But what led to the death? What is the manner? And that is what is important. That is why I said today that many questions were raised following the postmortem examination, because I asked the question, and this is something that the doctor perhaps would have been able to explain, whether this occurrence would have been natural, whether he just given what he had, this ulcer, whether this thing would have just ruptured just like that and then poisoned him more or less and he died, or whether a blow or something could have caused this thing to rupture, and that will go towards the manner of death. That has to be investigated. So again, the fact that it is alleged that he was assaulted, I heard his brother saying that he was assaulted. He said he saw that. And I was very critical in my comment about the action of the police when the brother made that statement. Because as I said, from the time the brother made that statement, a statement should have been taken from him. Don't tell him, well, you'll come back later. I will take a statement, because he's saying that he saw with his own eyes. He called the name of the policeman he saw. And then the next thing I wanted to find out, they said the two policemen were under close arrest. Why were they under close arrest? Were they the ones against whom the allegation was made? They are not saying these things, and that is a cause of concern. Because I'm saying this too. Let me say this. Let's assume, for argument's sake, that this young man was sick. He had this ulcer, and he would have died because of the ulcer. Let me assume that there was no blow or so which caused this thing to be ruptured. I am saying, given the fact that he was arrested on Friday, he should not have died in police custody. Full stop. He should not have died in police custody. Right? If it is that he had to die from whatever sickness he had, he should have died somewhere else. Because if the police had done what they were supposed to do, he would have been either put on bail or he would have been placed before the court Monday, before the expiration of the 72 hours. And I'm hearing that people say, oh, the young lady said that she did not want, at some stage, she did not want to pursue with the police matter. Now, let me say this. Once a statement was taken from her, and the statement had alleged and identified the offense, whether she want, and this used to be the protocol in domestic violence, whether she want to continue or not, charge the man, put the man before the court, and let her go to the magistrate and tell the magistrate that she does not wish for the matter to continue. That is how the police should operate. Clear yourself, because if you don't do that, all type of allegations are going to be made, right? So the man, again, I say this. If it is that he had this ulcer, and let me say because of the ulcer, he would have died when he died, he should not have died in police custody. He should have been sent away, either placed before the court or sent on bail.
Yeah, Sister Robin, I'm coming to you. Dr. Todd is trying his best to come in, and for some technical reason, he's not getting on. But he's trying, and hopefully he may be able to get on before we close. But even if he does not get on tonight, we are going to have him on, even if I have to do a special program over the weekend. But before I come back to you, Sister Robin, I want you to, I want to pursue what you just said there, Mr. Slow, and that is, if you were the policeman and somebody's arrested and they inform you that they're unwell, what does the police do in such circumstances? Because you just said there that man should have died elsewhere, not in police custody. If in fact you're saying that he died from this illness. Yes, go ahead.
The standing order is clear, absolutely clear. I'm not sure what number it is. They talk about the care and custody of prisoner. If a person in police custody complains of feeling unwell, he or she should be taken to get medical attention immediately. Police are not doctors. You're not a doctor. It's not you for determine whether he's feigning illness or whether he's bluffing or what. Take him to the doctor. And we understand that this was done at some stage. He was taken to the doctor. I said today, and I'm repeating it for emphasis, that this investigation, if a proper investigation should be done, then it would involve investigating what transpired when he was taken to the hospital. What treatment did he receive? On what basis was he returned to the police? Was he given any type of medication? Because I am told, I'm no medical doctor, but I'm told that if this man had this ulcer, there ought to have been symptoms, right? I don't believe, again, I'm not a medical doctor, but I can't believe a man have this serious injury which will cause him to die within 24 hours and there are no signs. I suspect there would have been telltale signs which should have been observed if this man was properly examined. So I'm saying that requires some type of investigation too. I don't know who's going to do that. They told us that the Office of Professional Responsibility of the police investigating. I believe that they are only mandated to investigate the police aspect. And even that, because the Office of Professional Responsibility ought not to be investigating the death of a person in police custody. That is the role for the Criminal Investigations Department. Office of Professional Responsibility was never set up for this type of thing. This too bring another issue. This requires the involvement of the Police Complaints Authority by law. But there's no Police Complaints Authority. The last Police Complaints Authority, retired Justice Ramlal, died some time ago, and therefore there's no. So it's a whole set of things to be examined in this matter. You're muted, doctor.
As the Christians would say, God is good because Dr. Todd has made it on. And Sister Robin, I'm going to ask your permission again to put you on hold for just another minute while I get Dr. Todd in, because Dr. Todd is an attorney. Yes, he's an attorney. He's a former policeman, but he has a particular expertise, as we noted during the Adriana Young case. He understands this pathology story and so on and so forth. So we have him wearing about 3 hats here tonight. So Robin, I owe you.
Well, Dr. let me just say this before Dr. Todd is brought in. I suspect he would have had issues joining because there is a danger of having these Margot Pelters, you know. You can't.
Dr. Todd, I'm so glad that you joined us, and I'm not going to put any specific questions to you because, as you would imagine, we started the discussion. But I know you would have joined this case in an active way from about Wednesday. Talk to us about what you have been dealing with in this case from the time you joined it to today, because I want us to get to today where I noticed you fielded questions from the media and concerned activists. I didn't know Sister Robin was a member of the media, but she was there fielding and grilling you and Dr. Cummins this morning. But talk to us from the time you got involved with this case to the present.
Thank you so much, Dr. Hines, and of course, good night to my senior, Mr. Slow, and my sister, Mr. Robin Simon. Thank you so much. I've been tuning in, even though I've been trying to get in, Dr. Hines. So I have been following, and both of the presentations so far, are right on point. When I joined this matter to give some form of support and representation along with my brother Ronald Daniels, we intervened at a stage where we spoke with the commander and had a clear understanding as to where the investigation was going to be headed. Um, the first of all, they attempted to do the autopsy on Monday, and Dr. Neil Singh refused uh, to perform that autopsy because he believed that the history of this young man was not on paper, and you could not perform an autopsy and you don't have certain basic information. This is not an information in which there was an accident, there was a shooting, there was etc. And the police picked up a body. The fact scenario was one in which some doctor pronounced him dead at a hospital, and so all of that needed to be form part of a statement or what we call a short facts, so that when the pathologist is going through, the pathologist has enough information. And sometimes we don't understand that a pathologist's responsibility is to support or to investigate cause of death, not manner of death. It's the police's role to investigate manner of death. So the pathologist's role is to just identify whatever he sees. If he sees a number of complications in terms of if he sees signs on the body which it's in support of marks of violence, he goes into the body, he checks the organs, etc., and he finds things, he is going to document whatever he finds. Now, and that is why I had to say, I think I did in a post earlier tonight, that the pathologist's findings is in no way removing any form of criminal liability. It is for the police to investigate this matter and investigate so widely and thoroughly to determine the manner of death. And I think if we look at, there is a principle in criminal law which says that you take your victim as you find them. So if you have a man who is sickly and you compounded that condition by some form of unlawful act, you take your victim as you find them. That principle runs throughout the criminal liability that we use in our criminal law. But I want to say that the police, they have with them statements which support some form of assault which was committed on the deceased. And I think that if the police believe that the family will not allow them or would be comfortable with them closing this investigation because they had certain preliminary pronouncement, I think they have another thing coming, because there is enough to conduct a criminal investigation and move this matter for legal advice to the Office of the Director of Public Prosecutions. I was so glad that our senior Mr. Slow highlighted procedurally who should be responsible for this investigation. But I know that the police force, they have become very comfortable with the fact, soon as they hear that there is a policeman who is involved in any type of allegations, OPR. Everything is OPR. And they never go back to look at the nature of the complaint and properly recognize that it's a criminal investigation. If they're following Mr. Slow's teaching, he has been repeatedly giving them guidance in relation to how it's done. There is no office of professional responsibility where you're dealing with a criminal investigation. So by virtue of the fact that they have it at OPR, we have to ask ourselves whether they are looking at a criminal investigation, which they, of course, it's supposed to be at a different department or at a different level. So I think what we did, Dr. Cummins and I were there to observe the autopsy today, performed by Dr. Neol Singh. And what we can say is that Dr. Neol Singh procedurally carried out the procedures, what he's to look for in terms of the various dissections, etc., was good. What we are not, there is a number of toxicology examination which must be done, and those samples were sent, and I believe it will take about 2 to 3 weeks to return, and that will assist Dr. Neol Singh in giving a more comprehensive report at the end. But at the preliminary stage, we believe that it's enough for the police to go ahead and continue a criminal investigation in this matter.
In this matter, Dr. Dexter Todd, Member of Parliament, and my neighbor in Parliament. I sit between Ganesh Mai Paul, who was here last night, and Dr. Todd in the National Assembly. And so I'm in good company as a rookie. Dr. Todd himself is a rookie, but given his expertise, you can't say he's a rookie. So I am in good company in the National Assembly, and we were neighbors for 2 weeks. As the people say, night and day, and we got to know each other more closely. Robin, let me bring you in because you are there in the community, and when the news broke, the people came out onto the streets. They came out onto the road, and I got there about midday on Tuesday. You had gone because what a lot of people didn't realize is that you yourself had to appear in court on that day in relation to charges that were laid against you in the Quinton Bacchus case. And when I got there, they were mostly young people. I was telling a WPA meeting today that I think I hardly saw anybody there. They were mostly young people out there, and they were very animated. I was blown away by the sense of inquisitiveness from them. They were asking questions. I understand they tried to block the road earlier in the day and so on, and the police came quickly. But although they were animated, they were asking very intelligent questions. And it was not until I left the scene that I realized that these people are veterans because they had gone through the Quinton Bacchus incident. So they have a sense of these things, and hence the questions they were asking. Give us a sense of what is happening in the village. What are people doing? What are people saying? Because I haven't been back since Tuesday.
Because this young man was well known, no one is truly happy because the family, the mother, the brother, the siblings, they are sad. This is not a young man that was a pest or menace to the society. So everyone here, we're out there every night. People are coming, people are greeting you. You still have to explain to the youth because they're still asking certain questions. We came back from the hospital today, and in fact, they would have asked so many questions today because it's like they just cannot understand how a friend, a brother, a comedian, someone who is very loving, although we know that he has a mouth on him, can just pass just like that, and they're not getting the answers they need. They're not satisfied. I can surely say they are not satisfied, but we had to explain to them, and Dr. Todd will be coming up to shine some more light on this entire thing, because we had to explain to them the process, how long it's going to take. We had to come out and just talk to them because I'm telling you tonight, my brothers and sisters, had it not been for the fact that I am here with this family, I do not know what would have been happening tonight. Tuesday was just a little blow to the community. But I am saying, had I not been here, Dr. Todd, Mr. Daniels, you, Dr. Hines, I don't know what would have been happening in Haslington. But currently, the village is thrown into mourning. We are disappointed. I do not know if a relationship would ever be rebuilt with members of the Guyana Police Force and this community. We would have been through so much and we are reliving it right now. We are reliving Quinton Bacchus. This mother is reliving Quinton Bacchus because she would have been there with us. You know, it's hard for us right now in this community. It is very hard. And at some point in time, I think we're going to have counselors in here because this is a young man, and I'm going to repeat myself. He was not a menace. You is somebody you glad to have around you because he is so jovial, although we know that he would not let things pass, but respectful. Good morning, Auntie Robin, what's up? What you doing? I saw him Wednesday. I saw this young man. I saw him Wednesday. He was supposed to do something for me Friday. When I came home, I went to the boys because they're always next door to me. These are young people they're always at my front yard, in front of the yard. They sit down on the bar top there, or they're next door by my relatives there. I went to the crowd. I asked them there. I said, "Where is Jaja? I have this stuff for him." One of them looked at me, said, "Auntie, Jaja was arrested." And I walk away and I feel away too because I could have gone to the station. I really could have gone to the station to find out what is going on with him. Then next thing you know, he's dead. So we're not going through easy time here. Right now, it takes energy. It takes not even energy. Like I don't even know what to say. It takes a whole lot of talking and talking and talking to his friends, his family, for them to just hold on. Let's wait. Let's give them a chance because they're wild up. My people, my youths, they're wild up. This family is a big family. The whole of Atlanta South, 5 streets. Out of those 5 streets, you're gonna find the Paynes, at least 4 streets of the Paynes. You're gonna find them there. So it's a big family. So nothing good is happening to us right now. We don't feel right. We don't feel well. We're not in the right frame of mind. Everything is it's just still right now. Everything it's as though a part of us, each and every one of us, mothers, we've lost what is to be. We have lost a very, very, very happy soul.
I can attest to what Sister Robin is saying. The couple of hours that I spent there on Tuesday, when I got back to Buxton, I ran into some friends and I said, "Look, let me go and take a drink. Because I'm tired. I feel so burdened and weighted down that we over and over have to go through this kind of thing." But as I was leaving Haslington, Brother Ronald and myself, the senior police officer that was out there, was in the company of others who I suspect were plainclothes officers. And he said, "Mr. Daniels, Dr. Hines, I hope you all have left some peace." And I said, "Yes, but peace cannot survive without justice. And I cannot guarantee you that this peace will last if the police does not move very quickly towards justice." And they agreed. And so, Mr. So I want to come to you now, because you've moved from a police officer, to now an activist of a particular kind, a peculiar kind, because you don't normally see law enforcement officers becoming activists. What would you advise? You heard Dr. Robin, you heard Sister Robin there just now. And I felt that when I was there. I felt that when I was there on Tuesday. I was in a funny position because, of course, they recognized me and they associate me with a particular kind of rhetoric, and I wanted to be careful, very careful, that I did not ignite a situation, but I also did not want to say to those people that you don't have the right to protest. And so you felt burdened. And I suppose I'm passing that on to you now. That what the police force needs to be doing in that situation there. When I got there, Sister Brooms told me that having tried to quiet the people down, a truckload of police came on the scene, jumped out with guns blazing. And she had to talk them down and try to tell them to go back into the vehicle, that this is not the kind of response that is needed here. So tell us, Paul, what should the police be doing?
Well, let me say this. I wish to first compliment the commander, because I saw something which is rare. On Tuesday, the commander actually came out from his office and engaged with the people on the ground. I think that is a step in the right direction, but it requires now a lot of transparency. The problem is, the general feeling is that you are going to get a cover-up from the police. And, I made the point because on Tuesday, when I heard the police saying that this young man was granted bail, I said, what nonsense is that? How could it be that he was granted bail and he died in the police custody? They may have offered him bail, but he's not granted bail. You can't be granted bail and remain in police custody. And of course, the family disputed that. And I said there and then, that was a step in the wrong direction. That reeks of an attempt to cover up, to say that he was granted bail, because if you're saying that he was granted bail, my experience has taught me that they were trying to then say that he was not in police custody beyond 72 hours, which is not supported by facts. So in a matter like this, it requires transparency. And that is a word that is lacking in the police force. Let's be honest. Because as we said, when they talk about OPR investigating, people are worried because people would tell you that when you say OPR, you mean that the matter done. Because I cannot recall any matter of similar nature in recent times where the OPR was said to have been investigating, and then the public is brought up to date as to what the outcome of the investigation was. You don't have that. The next thing that is extremely, extremely worrying to me as a former senior police officer is the fact that an incident of this nature could have occurred at Cove and John, which is the police divisional headquarters. That is where you have all the top brasses for the division. You have the divisional commander. You have the second in command. You have the detective officer. You have the subdivisional officer. And you have an array of supervisory people. How can all those persons be there and allow this thing to occur? What level of supervision is there? I'm not justifying similar incident at maybe other stations. We had death at Parfait Harmony, at Rainville Police Station, at 51 Police Station. But at Cove and John, the divisional headquarters with all the top brass, and this man could have been kept there beyond 72 hours. He could have died while in police custody. Something is definitely wrong. People ought to be made accountable. And therefore, when I analyze the situation, I'm going far beyond what they're telling us, right? Far beyond what they're telling us about what happened, what transpired at the station there. What happened to the supervisors? What they say OPR is investigating. What will the record show? You know, I said my experience has taught me to that in matters like these, from the time, and here I'm putting on my investigative cap in matters like, from the time you went there, the first thing you would have taken possession of all the records. I want to see the charge book. I want to see the diary. And I want to see all those things to make sure that proper procedures were followed. Because if you delay and you wait, as I said today again on the program, you delay and wait, police have there's a magic man who operates there. This is a magic man who went into the most secure part of police headquarters and took away, or well, not took away, changed cocaine to flour, right? Real mandrake and all these magicians wrapped in one. I said, therefore, if you were not dealing with this matter from the inception as it ought to do, things can happen. Magic men can come in and you can hear all kind of things which will impede the investigation. So again, I am not too confident that the Office of Professional Responsibility, OPR, can conduct a proper investigation. One, because I don't believe they have the experience, the people with the experience to do so. Two, I don't believe they have the competence to do so. And then most of all, people don't have any confidence in that unit. They don't have any, and this is an opportunity for them to come clean and to do a proper, thorough investigation so that the people can be satisfied that proper action is being taken. I say again, if this man had a condition which would have eventually resulted in his death, he should not have died in police custody. I say that without any fear of contradiction. Can't arrest him on Friday, and he dies in police custody Monday night, Tuesday, and the police are not to be blamed. Police are responsible for his death. Even if you want to argue that they might not have inflicted injuries which caused the death, the fact that he died in police custody is an indictment on the police force. It's an indictment of the divisional command. It is an indictment of all those persons. And again, let me end by saying this. They said 2 persons are under close arrest. I don't know why they're under close arrest. I suspect, however, they might have been the persons who were named as who assaulted, who are alleged to have assaulted this young man. Folks, what happened to the people who were in charge of the shifts? What happened to them? Their shoe should be held and questioned. Their shoe should have been placed under close arrest. You can't tell me that, yes, you're claiming that somebody hit this man and they might have resulted. What happened to the other aspect? What happened to why was he not placed before the court before the expiration of the 72 hours? Did they have a statement from the complainant? If you did not have a statement from the complainant, then you had no legal authority to arrest the man in the first place. All of these things need to be addressed. All of these things need to be addressed, right? And I would normally, let me end this part by saying, I would normally sympathize with the ranks. You know why? Because they are put into these positions without adequate training. And if you put people into position and they're not adequately trained, then you are ultimately responsible. Call it vicarious responsibility, liability, whatever it is. Because if you put people in position and you have not ensured that they are trained in those positions, then when they mess up, you got to bear the responsibility.
Mr. Paul Slow here giving his frank view, as he does frank, but informed. Dr. Todd, let me come back to you, because as I was listening to Mr. Slow, I was also reflecting on the fact that you are now a veteran. I remember seeing you in person for the first time at the Quindon Bacchus incident. And so you handled that case. You handled the Adriana Young case, and now you're part of this case. Are there some similar trends that you're seeing? And a follow-up question. Are there lessons from those 2 previous cases that you think could help you in this case?
Of course. The trends I'm seeing is that we are faced again, just as Mr. Slow said, we are faced with um, a high level of incompetence to thoroughly investigate matters. And I think we believe some of these matters are very simple in terms of how the investigation should be done, that I don't think that we have the ability and the force to understand the complexities of these matters, which requires proper approach and of course proper competence. In the From since the Quinton Bacchus's matter, I think what we keep seeing is a very high degree of police attempt to cover up, because and you only see the magnitude of incompetence and of course a high level of corruption in this investigation when the matter is actually before the court. Because as you begin to unravel the evidence in the matter, you then recognize, how is it that the police did not investigate A, B, C, D? And why is it that the matter was just sent? Is as though they believe that because there's an outcry in society and, oh, they're calling for someone to be charged, I'll just give them someone to be charged. Just show it there. And so when the matters are before the court, you recognize that the police could not be serious. When you look at the Quinton Bacchus's matter, the police allowed that matter to go to court against a young man being charged, fully well that at the end of the matter, there is going to be confusion as to which gun was used. So they knew from the beginning that there was trouble in that matter. And so at the end of the day, they could have gone a little further. And that is why we were asking for the clothing of Quinton Bacchus. We were asking, where did the clothing disappear? Because we were calling on the clothes to be analyzed forensically. We were calling on certain things to be put in place way before the matter went to court. But the police had no answers to that. It's as though sending matters before the court in this type of haphazard, lack of care manner is a norm for them. When you move to the Adriana Young's matter, you would recognize that they are up to this day, the police still are saying that the investigation is ongoing. Until 2 weeks ago, when we checked, they had not completed all their state. Imagine that. Now, we give them a rest because we believe that, it was coming up to elections. And so I know that they did not want to do a lot of things around election time because this was a hot issue. Now we are gone past of elections. And to this date, nothing has been said. Not even a report from the Director of Public Prosecutions that this matter is going to an inquest. Now, we're asking about the issue of the second autopsy. Second autopsy completed to the stage in which the pathologist is saying, who's an expert, is saying, listen, I am not going to write a full report and come to the conclusion of drowning if I don't have all these questions answered. Because this was an operation of a second review. When we look at the police's investigation on to now could not cover or answer more than half of the questions. For example, tile pattern. No one took not even a tile out from that pool, because so you have a situation where you have no type of conclusion in relation to certain marks seen on the body, because the pathologist is not able to relate that to certain things within the pool. So when the point I am making, when you look at all these cases, the trends that you see is that we have incompetent people, a police force where the investigative arm, the persons are not competent enough to do proper investigations, that at the end of the day, people can really see justice in this country. 90% of the matters which are before the court, which there has been any success in criminal investigation, is where they have allegedly this type of confession statements. The minute you don't have a confession statement in this matter, check the records, it's there. You have serious trouble in truly putting a proper case before the court. And so that is a worrying trend. It tells us that even though we are evolving, even though there's technology and a lot of advancement in forensic science, which can help to properly investigate matters, there is very little use by the Guyana Police Force. And even where they are familiar with what they're supposed to do they really have the integrity to back up that type of science? Because you have to be very principled. So we have a serious issue, and I support what Mr. Slow is saying. If they really want to rebuild some form of integrity and credibility with the public, they better do right by this matter. They better do right by this matter, because it's going to further decay. The trust that people will have in the force will further decay.
The trust that the people have in the force will further decay. An appropriate description there. Sister Robin, I come back to you. When I was there on Tuesday, I asked, has anyone in authority come? They said the divisional commander was there, nobody up to that time. Higher up, visited with the family and the community. Nobody from the Ministry of Home Affairs visited with the community. And the people there on the ground were telling me, Dr. Hines, if this incident had occurred in Enmore or one of the PPP strongholds, you would have heard sirens on the public road with all the ministers descending on that community, but nobody has come here. Since then, has anyone visited with the family from the higher up of the force or the Ministry of Home Affairs or the government?
Other than, thank you for that question, Dr. Other than the commander, Mr. Stephen, who we all saw on Tuesday, no one from the ministry, none. The regional chairman, RDC chairman, I was told when I left for court, he came along with the vice chairman. Other than that, no one. And it is the same thing with Quinlan Bacchus. The Ministry of Human Services, who should be or who is responsible, millions of dollars pumped into that ministry. You don't see these people when certain things happen in certain African communities. We saw them all when the 2 kids drowned, because allegedly the family, they said it's from the PPP. None of our business, not our stalkers, not our monkey. We stood there and we will continue to stand by the people, for the people, with the people. We were there, but all of them turned because I can say maybe their children. But in this case, same as Quindon, same as the Fudgenays, same as Peters, they do not leave the comfort of their offices or their homes to come to sit with these families and try to give guidance and try to give support, because as a one Guyana government, you would expect them to filter their one Guyana attitude into these areas or when certain things happen in this country. That's what you're there for. You're there as a representative of the people, although you're sitting there by how God knows who we all know when how everything happened. Other than that, they don't care. And it is sad that our African brothers and sisters are always the ones to go through these challenges. And I would put it as an 80% because yes, our Indo brothers and sisters, we do lose lose young people from that race and the Amerindians as well and all of that. But to see something about the Africans and this government, something about the Africans and the need for them to take care of all the citizens, the need for them to be responsible, the need for them to be held accountable, the need for them to come down. It's something hard for them to do. I don't know if it's because we are African indeed or because we black. Because we black. But this is a small country. This community is a small community. From the time you hear the bell cry, people should be here. We were calling on the president to come to Golden Grove when Quindon died. He sat and gave a long speech. We are not going to call on nobody to come. We are going to handle our matters and we are going to let justice will prevail. And I'm praying that it will prevail the right way. But we have all the right people in the right places to handle this for us. We have them and we are going to stand by them and whatever decisions they make. But we are saying enough is enough. I'm all over the globe right now, but I just want you all to understand. Like it's not like I'm tired. It's like you're fed up having to hear how many more. Who next?
Fanny
We're losing our
coming from the sharecropping community in the south of the United States, famously said, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. And you can hear that sentiment in the voice of this mother, both a mother of a child or children, but a mother of a community. As I said, the burden is on our shoulders, those of us who have been caretakers, if you will, of the community, this part of our national community. Sister Robin, you and I stood, is it 4 years ago, the Quindon backers? 4 years, no?
2022.
Yes, 4 years. We stood when the Prime Minister came on the market. You remember? And he said, this will not happen again. This will not happen again. 4 years later, we are dealing, as Dr. Todd said, with the same issues, the same questions, the same attempts at cover up, the same hands-off officialdom. How many more? Not just how many more bodies, but how many more of these incidents can a small society like ours endure? Mr. Paul Slow, you know, I hope one day our country can thank you for the kind of work that you. Young lady told me at the Buxton that she listens religiously to your program, she watches religiously, and she says, you know, David, I don't frighten police no more. because of Paul Slow and his show, I've come to believe that policemen and women are human. And so the way in which you have helped to humanize the police force, I think that is invaluable. But it doesn't take away from the fact that the institution remains a problem. I say all the time, I don't have problems with police in Guyana. The police, one night I think 12:30, I was on the road buying a burger, and the police patrol came up. They came to look for burger too. They said, Dr. Hines, what are you doing on the road at this hour? You know, Malik, you should not be out here by yourself and thing. And they tell me to wait, and they escorted me home. And so I'm saying that we are not anti-police. I am not anti-police. Some of these are youngsters that I taught in this village. Their family. But it is at the institutional level that the problem is. And that's what I want you to address, you and Dr. Todd, to address this problem at the institutional level, because sometimes people personalize it, the individual police, as opposed to the institution, and that the way the government is operating is that it is comfortable with the institution as is, because in a way what they have done is that they have politicized the institution to protect themselves politically, and they're unconcerned about the negative consequences of that for the community, especially the communities of the poor, and as Sister Robin correctly said, the communities of the darkest among us. So I want you and Dr. Todd to address this issue from an institutional standpoint, because it has to stop. It has to stop one way or the other.
Well, let me
and then Dr. Todd.
Yeah, let me say this. I think you are perfectly correct. It's the institutional problem. The thing is systemic. You have a situation where over the years, especially in recent years, you have had the weaponization of the police force. It's not about policemen now. And let me say, as I've always said, there are very many competent professional police officers, but those people who are competent are not the ones who are given the mandate to lead. So people are put into leadership position all because they are perhaps loyal to the government, they are favored by the government. And we only have to look at the last election campaign. You saw policemen, senior and other policemen, dressed in PPP party uniform at rallies, and say what you want to say. Back in the day of Bornham, and that never happened, even though people suspect that you had an allegiance, or you would never be that bold to wear any political party colors. That was encouraged. And that is part of the decay in the police force. Let me say this too, because Dr. Todd made a very interesting point when he spoke about matters going before the court. And unless you have a CS, which is a confession statement, and think most of these matters go down the drain. I just want to let you and the viewers and everybody know of some of the layers in the system, the filters, because a matter, any one of these matters, criminal matter, don't end up in court just like that. The CID people will investigate. There's in all of the divisions, there's a CID officer who should make sure that these files are reviewed and things are in order. Then after the CID officer, there's a divisional commander to whom the file and the statements will go. He has a responsibility to look. He ought to be able then to detect if he's competent. If he is competent, he ought to be able to detect flaws at that stage. Then from the divisional commander, it goes to the man who designated the crime chief. The current crime chief, Wendell Blanham, is a deputy commissioner, and an attorney at law. And therefore, he too gets an opportunity to peruse the file. And if there are flaws, if the files are not properly put together, he should turn it back, get this corrected, ask questions. And then after him, it goes to the DPP's chambers. And one would expect that once it gets to the DPP's chambers, before it enters the court system, all flaws should be identified. So no file should pass through the DPP and get into the court system with all of these things that are revealed in court. So we say it's incompetence, perhaps even corruption, and that is part of the problem. How can a matter reach to the High Court, pass, well, not even High Court, get to the magistrate court, undergoes a preliminary inquiry, goes to the High Court, and then when it gets to the High Court, the judge is saying, no case submission, the matter gone, there's no evidence. Something is wrong with the system. And many of these cases, as we know, the motive is political. I can say that from experience. They know that they don't have any evidence to convict, but they say, all right, because you might be expressing certain views, let them go there, let them try there. They put it there, cause you to expend a lot of resources and so on. It is wickedness. And that leads to people not believing in the system. People believe, and this is, I can speak for a lot of people, believe that if you get money, who get money, get bargain in the justice system. You get money, you get bargain. If you're a poor person, then sorry, you don't have the resources to retain some lawyer. You don't have the resources to go to the appeal court. You don't have the resources to go to the CCJ. So you have to leave, you are left to suffer. That is the thing, and it should never be that. It should never be that. Justice should be blind, where it doesn't see race, it doesn't see religion, it doesn't see anything but justice. But we don't have that in Guyana. We don't have that. So many cases, policemen are involved in all manner of things. Why? Because some politician, we can't sugarcoat this thing. The force is not independent. The force has been politicized over the years, especially since 2020. The force has been politicized. I have written about the Indianization of the command, and all this is part of it because you're putting people in position who are not qualified to be there. Only today, I was addressing a matter yesterday that engaged the court's attention yesterday with Calvin Brutus, Assistant Commissioner of Police, 252 criminal charges, unprecedented, unheard of. What happens to the system? And I continue to say that he could not have committed all of those offenses that are alleged by himself. Something is wrong in the system. And the government like it so, because I have said that the government has no interest in a professional police force. Let me understand this. This is my view. They have no interest in a professional police force because if you have a real professional police force, then they would not be able to pick up the telephone and call and give instructions. So they are comfortable with the status quo. You have incompetent people. So when you tell them, do this, they will do that. You tell them, do that, they will do it. And that is what they are comfortable in. And because of that, people are suffering and they don't really care. Despite what they say, they don't care once they get to run things. Because again, let me close on this part. Look at the many serious allegations that have been made against ministers of the government. Allegations, mind you, and everyone is presumed innocent until proven guilty. But allegations that would necessitate a proper, thorough investigation, and no investigation. You have allegations made against the minister of Susan Rodriguez. And the president says, oh, she gave an explanation and he's satisfied with that. What type of country we living in? That serious allegations are made against a sitting minister and the president just say, well, the person offered an explanation as to the accumulation of the wealth. I am satisfied with the explanation. And the matter done like that? Man, this is not even a banana republic. This is even worse than a banana republic. And I rest my case there.
Dr. Todd?
Yes. I'm saying I'm full in support of what Mr. Slow has said in relation to the complaints and the concerns that we have been faced with in relation to the police force being politicized. so many things, and the issue of how they came out. Many of them came out and and outrightly pledged allegiance to political parties. The PPPC, more in particular, was definitely the eye opener. If there were any doubts in our minds, I think that was a glaring example that this force, the issue in terms of their leadership, the issues that they have been faced with for the last couple of years, we are in trouble. We are in trouble. The mandate, which is to serve and to protect, and the mandate which the police force has, which is to ensure that they investigate each and every matter in the most transparent um, 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 and fair manner. We have not been seeing that. There are a number of complaints which continues every single day to be peddled by our citizens about the manner in which police conduct themselves, about the type of unfair treatments that are meted out, because sometimes reporters and persons are making reports, they are not given the type of recognition and the type of opportunity to have their matters before the court, because the police either fail to do a proper investigation, fail to effect an arrest. But when certain things happen in certain communities, you are seeing the heavy-handedness of this force, the aggression, the manner in which they go after people. Look how quickly they put up wanted bulletins for certain persons. I'm telling you, we're not seeing a balanced force, and the system is rotten from top down, bottom up. It's rotten. And I know there are good officers within the force. I know that there are many of them who want to do well for this country and who really want to serve. But they're not given an opportunity to do that, because the objective here is to keep the people who can answer to their masters, to keep the people who will answer to their kings. Because when they call, when they make a demand, they have to act. They have to act. I have had many clients who have complained and said, listen, it's not about the officer or the offense. They are going to make certain calls. So the calls got to be made at Freedom House, or the calls has to be made at on some minister's cell phone. And then ministers directing. I could remember when I was in the force, you had that situation controlled. You couldn't try to say, well, okay, I'm just going to use my influence and clout that I have politically. If you were to be charged, you were going to be charged. We have seen that entire system collapsed. So it is better to have a politician member of government friend than to have a police. Yes, I'm telling you, because let me tell you, we'll make a call to them, all things, if especially if they know you. So the issue is, are we seeing a police force which is balanced, which truly understands their objective, their mandate, their motto, they're following it? We're not seeing that. And because we're not seeing that, it is worrying in this country. Because a vital organization like the police force, in the state they're in, we are in trouble. We are in trouble. Our people are in trouble, because the people who feel it, and it's not a consensus position at all, because the people who are getting the sweet out of the police force are the people who believe that they have certain political influence and they have certain political coverage. If you don't have that, you get the full blunt of the force. Full blunt of the force. And that ought not to be. And that is because the system is bad. It's rotten. And unless we reform this police force, unless we remove certain figures and persons from the police force from certain offices who are not good for those offices, we will not see this force moving better. And it will affect the type of investigations we have in this country because there is no proper leadership.
Dr. Dexter Todd, attorney at law, member of parliament, and perhaps the best known name today among lawyers. He has joined that special group, the People's Lawyers. Very few these days compared with when I was a young man. I had two lawyers, the late Peter Britton and the late Benji Gibson. And Peter Britton never took a cent. And Benji too, never took a cent. And Peter always used to say, all I ask is when you become popular, say that I was your lawyer. Right? And whenever I get in trouble, those two lawyers, and they were not what you call poo-poo lawyers, they were big name. And I have to say these days that that group has shrunk, and it's good when lawyers like Dexter Todd can join that group and do all this kind of pro bono work, defending the defenseless, the poor and the powerless. And God knows our people need so much defense in this atmosphere today. Sister Robin, you have the last say. Talk to us.
We thank you, Dr. Hines. We shouldn't put cat to watch milk. It's an old saying. Nothing good will come out of that situation. But our foreparents would have set a standard for us, our ancestors. They would have set a standard. And as we, every day, when we wake up in the morning and we give God thanks and we move about the day and we pick up our phones or tablets or computers and we go on Facebook, something is always something new, something different, especially, and I'm going to say this again, especially our Black people. And when you look at it, my brothers and sisters, that bar is dropping every day because we are not paying attention to what is happening around us. And, you know, I'm hurt as a mother and a grandmother. I am hurt. I am lost in a bubble because it's like you don't know who to turn to. You cannot turn to the police. Now it's going to be all, watch, our young people especially, they are going to be afraid to even go to the station to make a report because of this situation. This is ridiculous. My brother was arrested on Friday, dead by Tuesday morning, in custody, under the watch of the people who swore to protect and serve us. I don't know what to say. I'm just praying that the truth prevail. As a rep for the PNC, I trust that justice is served. I trust that the mother of this young man gets the peace that would pass it all understanding in the form of justice for her son. She carried him for 9 months. She knows the pain she is feeling. She knows what she is going through. When I got to Haslington today, she said, Robin, where's my lawyer? Her favorite words. I said, he's coming. She said, where is the other lawyer? I said, they're coming. They're going to come and they're going to break everything down to you, and they're going to tell you what next. At least I am glad we still have some hope. We still have some hope in you, Dr. Todd. We still have some hope in you, Mr. Slow. We still have some hope in you, Mr. Hines. We still have some, Dr. Hines. We still have some hope in all our other MPs and all our other reps, those persons who are truly standing up for the people. We still have some hope. And I'm praying that this little hope we have does something for us as a race. It does something for us as a race, because we are just not paying attention to what is happening. We're just not paying attention. The bars our ancestors set for us as Africans, it's dropping every day. Pray that God intervenes. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Sister Robin. Sister Robin, as she said, is the PNC representative there in Islington on the East Coast. She is a regional councillor also. I forgot to mention our official titles, and as I would say, one of the hardest working activists, and someone who speaks truthfully, someone who does not muzzle herself. As you notice, she spoke very feelingly about what it is to be Black in this country when it comes to dealing with the police force. I'm so happy to have had her on tonight, along with Mr. Slow and Dr. Todd, and we are going to keep watch on this matter. And so we hopefully in the next few days, we are going into the Easter season, but in the next few days that we would keep on top of this matter, and that I would bring back members of this panel to deal with this issue. What can an activist say to a mother? You know, can a woman's tender care cease towards the child she bear? Bob Marley quoted that in Johnny Was. Johnny was a good man. Johnny was a good man, but he was killed by a bullet. He was killed by the system, What can we say to a community that in 4 years is facing the same travails? They have to mourn the loss of a son. What can we say to a country that watches on as these issues, the body of Adriana Young is not yet cold, as we would say. And since then, we've had to deal with so many more dooms. As we say, if it is to stop, then it's we, the people, have to stop it. We try to give leadership. We try to give direction, but ultimately, it is the people who will have to stop it. Mr. Slow, thank you. Dr. Todd, thank you very much. And Robin, as always, I'm indebted to you when it comes to these matters.
Corruption is a vile disease that sucks and drains the health out of something good. Corruption in society is an evil moral infection that keeps community in a state of perpetual sickness. Corruption is a moral virus. It's so potent it leaves its host sick, lethargic, and unable to realize and accomplish all that a well person can. Where corruption thrives, poverty and not prosperity thrives. Wealth is grabbed into the greedy, grubby hands of those who get fat on the toil and labor of good people. Corruption benefits, only temporarily, those who participate in it. Everyone else is a victim of the theft, the deceit, the dishonesty, and the lies that corruption feeds on. You need to know that a corrupt person is stealing from you. Corruption is filthy work and despicable acts of treachery done under the table and behind closed doors. Corruption is a disgusting shame. Corruption keeps a nation back from true development and from progress. Wise investors steer clear of a corrupt environment. They would rather put their resources into a place where the playing field of opportunity is equal for all and not bent towards feeding the financial lust of corrupt, lying, cheating, thieving politicians and government officials. How many wonderful development projects have been lost because the investors didn't want to do business in a swamp of evil? When those great projects go to another nation or to some other place, we all lose. Believe me when I tell you that corruption steals from you, it steals from all of us. Corruption plunders the nation's wealth. Corruption people compromise on truth, equity, and fairness, choosing instead to feed off the short-term benefits of crookedness, exploitation, and financial perversion. Corruption is not just a personal matter. It's a culture. It's a way of life, not just for individual people, but for companies, communities, governments, and nations. Corrupt nations, hiding behind large companies, will seek to invest in other weak nations in order to take over the assets of the nation that they've invested into. They will provide financial loans to a nation for the much needed infrastructure, and they will do it with assets that they provide. They will sign contracts by lining the pockets of rotten government officials who participate in this kind of corruption and are then held hostage by their own deceit and greed. Corruption is nothing less than a form of theft and national robbery. A corrupt person steals from everyone in society. We all lose when corruption is rampant. Those who participate in corruption have chosen evil over good, lies over truth, and personal gain over well-being of all. To be corrupt means to be rotten. When meat is corrupt, it's rotten, and it stinks. Rotten meat can't be eaten. When a person is corrupt, he's rotten and unfit for a place in the community. A corrupt person should be jailed in order to protect society from the vile deeds of the corrupt person. Government should be protecting us from the foul results of corruption instead of being the proponents and participants in corruption. When corruption is systemic, when it's a culture and a way of life, when corruption thrives, it destroys the health of the community and nation. Now let me tell you something. Defeating corruption is a very difficult thing. The love of money is the root of all evil, the Bible says. People who love money will do almost anything to get it. Those who choose to stand up against corruption, you need to know that we're going to be involved in a war. We will be threatened, vilified, intimidated, marginalized, and ridiculed. These kind of people who stand up against corruption will often feel alone, as if they are the problem instead of the solution. Corruption can only be defeated when enough people have had enough and decide to do something about it.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah, yeah. Ooh. Breaking news. Ministers and government officials. This is from your corruption and stealing's the land from the poor. Yeah, yeah. Corruption must go. Corruption must go. I'm speaking to infants, Ali and Jack Dio. Didn't you hear the poor people crying? Didn't you hear the children suffering? Oh yeah. Corruption must go. Corruption must go. Living in your mansion, creating corruption, preparing and getting ready how to steal the poor man's lands. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. There is no rules and regulation in this town. It's a wild, wild west, moving on the ground. Look at border market, we are vendors getting trampled on. While you driving by in your fancy car and smoking your big cigar. Oh yeah, nation about